Hi, in this week's video, you see us do some maintenance work in the forest. We spent some hours optimizing our seedling room. Wolfie built a little shelf for his bedroom. We also started planting some seedlings and once again cleaned up our workshop. We dedicated our last weekend to doing maintenance work in the forest. Here you see the current state of the market garden, and it's easy to spot that many of the trees have big branches overlapping our market garden, causing shade and also danger to fall down because some of the trees are already damaged or dead. The majority of the trees in a forest are white beech and oaks. And now let me introduce you to the cutest on-site safety officer in the world.
Hast du da die Erbsen gefunden? Da?
Wolfie is an experienced climber and he got some safety gear for himself and this dangerous task. The safety gear for Nini and me was mainly some hot tea and cookies. Step 1. Somehow getting the rope to a stable branch of the tree. Attempt 1. Throwing steel nuts fixed on a rope onto the tree. Didn't work. Attempt 2. Using an old fishing rod. Didn't work.
Das schaut gut aus.
Attempt 3. Using a self-built slingshot and the fishing rod. Didn't work at all. Final attempt, using the biggest ladder we could find to climb the tree and throw the rope over the branch. This whole process took us almost a full day. So the second day, we could finally get Wolfie to climb the tree. By the way, this is my first drone shot, so please don't mind the wonkiness. Besides the rope throwing attempts, this was the biggest task. Cutting the already fallen, huge, as you can see, branch and transporting it back to the forest. Borrowing our neighbor's chainsaw made this task much faster.
A task that I have been neglecting for quite some time was the cable management of our seedlings room. As you can see, there are a lot of things going on that we have to take care. As last year the cable management was quite a mess, everything was on the floor, we decided to do it on the ceiling this year. So a short briefing what we want to have where, and then we were ready to get started. While Nini was fixing and measuring out the cable carriers to the connector boxes, I was taking care of putting the cable into those carrying pipes. We want to have lights that we can switch on and switch off. Then we have the grow lights, which shall be controlled by a timer next to the door, and then also a separate circuit for the fans and also for the heating mats, which I nearly forgot. A part of this room is also used for preserved vegetables, and finally setting up a light in this room was quite a needed task, as usually we take the lights of our smartphones. As this is not going to be a permanent infrastructure, but at least for the next 2 to 3 years, we wanted to create a somewhat neat circuit board where everything comes together.
Und schon ist man im Wohnzimmer.
On this board we're gonna have the light switch and the timers for the different circuits, and we made sure that everything that we use on this block is well underneath 2.6 kilowatts. And we were ready for the first test. So far, so good. The light bulbs worked, and now we're up to installing the rest of the cables and circuits that we have planned. Next on the list was hanging our new growing lights. We had mixed experience with the lights that we used last year. Of course, they were better than the natural light that we receive around this time of the year, but still we weren't really pleased with the area that they spot. So this year we went for quite an upgrade. Although this being quite a substantial invest into our operation, we hope to get it back in young healthy plants.
Since our seedlings room is done now, we could start putting the seeds into the soil, and two of us are faster than just one of us. This task started in the second week of January, so the pallets you see here already have some sprouted capsicum by now. Our new setup includes some new plant lights and heating mats that we put our seedlings on to sprout. The mats are heated to 25 degrees Celsius. Fast forward 3.5 weeks later, these are our capsicum plants. The first ones are already big enough to be removed from the heating mats and be placed under the new plant lamps.
As mentioned in the beginning, I wanted to create a shelf for my room, from some leftovers of old projects that we had laying around. So I glued together some lime boards and brought them to a usable thickness. As some of those boards already had some fungus, a blue kind of in them, I had to plane them down or thinner than I wanted to. Also, I had those very nice walnut pieces laying around. These notches in the walnut that you see here shall carry the boards later on, so they will be countersawn into the boards as well, so that they fit together. I just needed to clean them up as the table saw left some nasty marks in them, and then I was ready to test fit them into the boards. Somewhere along the way the design got more and more complex. I think the next time I'm gonna start with the drawing again before I build something. Here you can see me sawing those counter notches into the boards, which then will fit into the first notches that I made. It all will make more sense if you see it come together. The final and always loved task of sanding the boards to a nice finish, as some of them still had the marks from the planer in them, which I wanted to get out. And if you wonder why I don't like sanding, every single piece of those took at least 5 to 10 minutes depending how complex the geometry or how bad the planar marks were. so it took quite some time just for one pass of sanding. In total I ended up doing 3 passes with different grit sizes. This whole project was a little bit improvised. The design, the time that I had for it, and of course this continued through the glue up. I didn't do a proper test fit, so I ended up fitting some of the pieces while they already had glue on them. This later on reflects in the quality of the joints, and I have to say I'm not 100% pleased, but that's all the time I had, as other projects were already knocking on the door and I couldn't spend too much on this. So sometimes you have to put your inner monk to the back and accept that the things work the way they do. There is the point where I start to panic, because I found out the blocks that I'm gonna use underneath the boards are too wide and already have partially glue on them. And of course I repeated that mistake on the other boards as well, to glue them in place without dry fitting them, and then fiddling around while they've already been halfly glued. After the glue has dried, I tried to hide my mistakes by sanding everything a little bit, and it turned out okay-ish. I do think sometimes those little mishaps will remind you later on the next project to be a little bit more patient. Here everything is oiled and ready to be installed in my bedroom. Nini was kind enough to help me install the piece, and it actually was smoother and faster than I thought. This stands in contrast to the rest of the project, which was improvised and sometimes took more time than it should, and more than I expected. And we're done. There is a shelf and more storage room for my bedroom. The last project that we have to do has to do with our wood storage. We have wood storage outside of the workshop on multiple parts of our property, but also we have this rather nice wood shelf or rack at the back of our workshop room. Unfortunately, there is a buildup of leftovers from projects. Some of this wood hasn't been used as it has defects or worm or fungus infections. So with a very strict eye, we controlled every board and decided, do we really want to build something out of this, or is this finally going to our wood stove? As we still have quite some substantial stack of wood outside which we could use, we became very drastic about reducing the wood that we wouldn't need anymore. Although this being a hard process, kicking away so much of the good wood and burning it, we have a big project coming up and we need the space for it. And that's it. The last 4 weeks summed up in this video. I wish you all a pleasant day and hope you enjoyed it. Bye.
Wir wollen darauf kraxeln.